All right, so what to do or not to do while parenting. This is one of the things that people know about me that work with me. I can't tell you how many sheets I have where I teach and teach and teach, and then I give them the sheet, the tip sheet. Do and don't. This is what I want you to remember. So, do offer access to reinforcers that they could not get otherwise. That's the thing about reinforcement and pairing, making yourself the person to go to for reinforcement. Sometimes with kids that are really especially difficult, we even have a special reinforcer for each instructor because they satiate so easily if they get too much that each instructor has a fun thing about them that they only get with that person that maybe they're with for only 2 hours a day. So you want to think about those things. I happen to be the person that was the physical activity person that oftentimes. I'm athletic, I'm really strong, I can throw those kids around and I just love having fun doing that. And then, you know, I work with somebody who has a bad back, but she is amazing at playing with these, you know, block games and things like that, and kids just love that. So it's really fun sometimes to have that aspect. Do offer access in small amounts. This is really important when you're teaching. Don't give it all away all at the beginning. You want them coming back for more. So you get them. I mean, I am so good at cutting up Skittles into 4 pieces because it takes a long time to chew that little thing, and I don't want them to, you know, take a long time to get through it, and I want them wanting more. They get a little taste of it and they get back. So any toy that you cannot turn off, do not use. Because you want like, you know those music toys? Most of them nowadays come with an on-off switch. Sometimes you can't find it or anything, but I did even have a toy that a kid loved so much that we just learned, we were very quick at opening the door and pulling out the battery. It didn't have an on-off switch, but he was so reinforced by it that we wanted to use it. But it would take 5 minutes to get through its cycle, and that was too much time. And so you want to have control of all your reinforcers and have them coming back for more. They want more. And you can just, you know, stop it play it for a second, do your thing for a little while, and you just keep that flow, and they keep wanting more, and you're amazed at 15 minutes how far you've gotten down the road with one little thing of reinforcement, because just 3 seconds can keep them going. Gradually increase your expectations and your demands. That's one of the big things about using reinforcement, is that they continually have to do more to get what they used to get. That's your little trick, your little thing in the back of your mind. They need to do more all the time. If you're always just stuck and they still get the same reinforcement, they're not going to move forward with their learning. So you have to require more to get what they used to get. So always think about that. Now, if you want this, okay, now you're going to need to do that, and you no longer get this. And they learn that pretty quickly. They try to still do that thing. You're like, oh, okay, that's great, that's correct. But if you want this, you got to do that. So keep that in mind. Pair yourself frequently. A lot of people, when they first start working with a child, they spend a lot of time getting to know the kid, having fun, establishing that relationship, and then they think, okay, we're done, let's move on. And then they never have any more fun with the kid. You've got to keep that up. You've got to keep that. It's just like any other relationship. You have to keep building it. You've got to have that trust between you and the child, that thinking of that they come to you to get what they want. So continually do it. First time you start working, beginning of every work session, throughout the work session, and outside of work sessions. I always say try to find times, if you're at a school, maybe at recess, if it's free time, if it's lunchtime, sometime where you maybe spend a little bit of time with that child, especially like your kids that have obsessions. If you engage in something regularly with them around that obsession, like they can talk to you about it, they can play with you about it, that's a really cool thing. A time where you're not placing any demands on them. You're just there letting them go on about their obsession, because most people are always trying to stop them. You know, I had kids, can't tell you, kids that were enthralled by train engines. I learned so much about train engines. I never knew they were a thing. Kid that loved the Yellow Pages, told me all about the ads for all the things. Kid that loved master bathrooms wanted to know all about master bathrooms. I don't know. But it was, those kids then, the minute they saw me, they wanted to start talking. And I just created boundaries around it, and I said, okay, at recess, we'll have 5 minutes. I keep that up there. That I won't forget. Let's talk about that. Or lunchtime, or whatever. But it was that relationship that I had with them that they thought that was cool, because everybody else just said, no, that's not appropriate, we're not talking about, but then they never gave them the time that they could do it. So think about that. Don't interrupt and turn reinforcers into tasks. A lot of people, something that the kid likes to play with, they kind of forget that it's that time that kid just has to take a little break, and they step in and they start asking them questions or saying, oh, let's do this or do that, and then now they've created demands. You got to follow through, and now you just kind of broke that time that you were just giving them just to have a little break. So remember when it's a time for them just to be able to engage in doing that reinforcer or something like that, and when you are actually, going to place demands on them. And then in the beginning, when you're pairing, you don't place demands initially. That's a big thing. You have to build that time where you're just doing things, and then you gradually make some expectations of them. I mean, even if it's just sometimes that you just literally put your hand over the button and they can't push it and you just say, look at me, and that's all they have to do. And then you continue. That was just a little demand. You're just introducing it in there, or you're saying, you put your hand over there and you say, give me 5. Anything. You're just getting them to start complying with your demands in a reinforcing situation, and then you gradually take it to where you're teaching and you're engaging in teaching a lot more than you're engaging in pairing and reinforcing. Okay. Evaluate yourself from each other. All these techniques I'm talking to you about, I provide you forms to sit and critique each other, help each other, look at what you're doing and give feedback to each other. And you, as each other, are the most powerful tools to help each other to see what's going on. I even sometimes I really miss that aspect about working on my own right now, because I don't have a colleague around that I can just say, hey, can you come in here a minute and watch me while I'm doing this? And what am I missing? Because you can't always see the mistakes you're making, the inadvertent prompts you're doing. You're not fading a prompt that you should be fading. You're not catching something the kid's doing. So really do that. And then one of the things, always think about when you're working with a child, and I say, does the student run to you or away from you when he sees you? That is a huge indicator of whether you have successfully paired with them or not successfully.